Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of us reading Apex Legends' Pathfinder's Quest. Today, we are going to start with Chapter 2, Gibraltar's story. If you haven't caught up yet, please don't forget to check out the description box below so you can see all the previous episodes that we have so you can catch up with Pathfinder's Quest. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Chapter 2, Solace on Solace, Pathfinder Memory Log, Day 2. Ch02 is such a great friend. It's too bad I have to fight her so many times in the games. It was very helpful to learn about the history of the frontier. I had no idea it was discovered so recently, only 400 years ago. It's just a baby, and I love babies. Or maybe that's a long time ago? Either way, a lot of stuff has happened since then, and I can't wait to learn more about it. I would think if I were created in the core systems before the frontier was discovered, I'd probably have been a cellular phone or a laptop computer because those two items seemed to be what people could not live without in those times. Which means I'd have a lot of friends who needed me. I'm not sure if what I feel is actually a feeling, but whatever it is, I like the feeling of being needed. Like how much Heinrich Hammond was needed for humanity to explore the frontier, or how BT 7274 needed to sacrifice himself in order to stop the IMC. Oh, that second one is sad. I remember hearing that story all over the place. The heroes of Harmony, Pilot Jack Cooper, and the Vanguard Titan BT. Maybe I'll learn more about them on my quest. They also needed each other to survive, and that's so sweet. I hope that I was created because I was needed. When I meet my creator, I will be sure to ask them that. It's exciting knowing that I'm on the right track to get those answers. My chat with AJ has helped me narrow down my search to the Outlands. I know I woke up somewhere there, but I don't really know much about it. My jolly good friend Gibraltar might be able to help me. So here I come, Planet Solace. Woohoo! Clue box. Transmission clues. Chevrolet, Lifeline's parents' company. The future of the Outlands. Dr. Emily Pa. The event. Aleki. Iris. Self-motivation quote. Searching. One result found. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. By Lao Tzu. And then we see Gibraltar's profile. Real name Makoa Gibraltar. Age 30. Homeworld Solace. Tactical ability Dome of Protection. Passive ability Gun Shield. Ultimate ability Defensive Bombardment. Gibraltar is a gentle giant with a wild side. The son of two Saras, or Search and Rescue Association of Solace, volunteers. He has always been skilled at getting others out of dangerous situations that are common in the Outlands. However, he only began to understand the value of protecting others when he and his boyfriend stole his father's motorcycle, took it on a joyride, and got trapped by a deadly mudslide. His parents saved them, and his father lost an arm in the process. Gibraltar has never forgotten that sacrifice and has devoted his life to helping those in need. The Apex games didn't change that, but they changed what it meant. Many of Gibraltar's friends and colleagues have competed in the games for extra money, fame, and glory over the years, and some never came home. Gibraltar joined to keep them safe, and for the first time, his skills as a rescuer and his rebellious nature worked together. He's now become an icon in the Apex games, putting himself in the line of fire to protect his squad and send his opponents running for cover. Let's go change a life, brother. Gibraltar. Hello, Gibraltar. I came to ask you about the Outlands. What do you know? Hehe, now isn't that a loaded question, brother? Long story short, I grew up here on Solace and I love it. It may not have been that way for everyone, but I tell you, it's been a good time. Of course, I'm a positive guy, so what do you expect? My parents raised me that way. And what about the long story? That's what you want, huh? Well, my shiny little friend, the history here goes back a long time, and the Gibraltar family was there right from the start. A lot has changed since then, and it keeps changing. The Outlands weren't always the ray of sunshine we see today. You know what I mean, Path? I don't know what you mean, but I like that you call me Path. When I was born, the IMC ran the show. I'm sure Bangler, another legend, knows a bit more than me on how they got here. But what I do know is that there was a split between those who came with them and those who have lived here for generations. The latter is where I came from. The Gibraltar family was part of the very first expeditions that came to the Outlands over 400 years ago. I remember my kupuna telling me stories. She said it took almost 20 years for our family, and thousands of others to travel across the unexplored frontier from the core systems to reach our home here on Solace. It was one way to change a life or two, but the Gibraltars always had something constant. And she pointed at my chest and said, "Our hearts." And then she'd tell a story that had been passed down from Kupuna to grandchild for a long time. A journey of a little mouse. And then we see a story from Gibraltar's family. A journey of a little mouse. My jolly Gibby, listen closely, for this is the journey of a little mouse. Many courageous civilians volunteered for the journey across the frontier, with hopes for better lives for their families, including our own. Some knew each other, some did not, but they all knew they had to learn, to live in peace aboard the IMS Nostos if they had any chance of surviving the long trip. And they did, for the first few years. But as tensions rose, our distant relative Pio Gibraltar hit his limit and lost control. Consumed with stress and madness, Pio, the giant man he was, almost destroyed the entire vessel. He spent the next year locked away in the brig. And that is where his life turned around. That is where our future turned around. That is where he met the little mouse. Alone in a jail cell, Pio befriended this helpless little animal. How it got on board or how it had remained alive for so long is unknown. But how it continued to live from that point on is the basis for what us Gibraltars believe: protect the innocent. That little mouse found Pio at his lowest, and without saying a word, was able to teach him that survival comes from the heart just as much as from the mind. Despite Pio's relatively intimidating size, the little mouse showed no fear, no hate, only love. That is what Pio needed to be reminded of, and that is something our family can never forget. As long as we take care of those who need us, we will be rewarded with the courage and strength to continue surviving. Day by day in that cell, Pio watched over the little mouse, as it watched over him. He shared his meals, shared his stories, and shared his time. It's an important lesson, my jolly Gibby, to share your time and learn from others. That's exactly what Pio discovered through the little mouse. He never named it because it was not his place to do so. The little mouse was not a pet, but a friend. He simply watched over it as it watched over him. Outside the cell, the IMS Nostos had completed half of its initial journey, but reports showed it would possibly take much longer than originally expected. Communications with the other IMC expedition vessels were lost, and the understanding that they were completely on their own finally sunk in among the passengers and crew. Fear and doubt spread like wildfire through the vessel right about the time Pio was released, but he did not lose control. In fact, he took this as a challenge against what he learned during his time in confinement. Pio believed the residents' dependence on the IMC clouded their true potential, and what they needed was to be reminded of the courage and strength they had possessed from the day they set out on their journey. With the little mouse safe inside his pocket, Pio volunteered to spearhead the development of a small community-run recreational center. Pio believed the residents of the IMS Nostos needed a place where they could spend time together and learn from each other. Unlike the school, the Little Mouse Recreational Center invited all who cared to join, day and night, to tell stories, play games, and ultimately become united. When the IMS Nostos arrived on planet Solace nearly 10 years later, the first colony was named Little Mouse, which is where you were born, only 10 kilometers outside Solace City. The colonists put their differences aside, took their doubt and fear and replaced it with hope. Working together, the residents and their descendants became the first to colonize the Outlands. Pio lived a long and full life, and the little mouse continues to live in this story from generation to generation. From our ancestor Pio to your grandfather Aleki, and now to you. Good night, my jolly Gibby.